Graws. The later ones, Mark Jean is pretty good because I've been around him a lot. He tries. Some of those guys are real reputable, but I'd say 80% of them ain't. They just junk. So, and you'll get caught in that. A lot of young trappers that go out and they just start buying try everything. It's all right to do that, but it's expensive now because the stuff has got pretty high. So through the years, we're going to talk about mostly canines, bobcats and coyotes, because that's what everybody did. Bobcats, gland lure, they're really good, but you need to make young. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I made a lot of gland lure, and it's simple. If you're catching animals and you got the parts plenty available, you make a lot of it, but you got to buy all that stuff. First off, talking about gland, the anal gland is one of the most powerful ones. So you cut around the animal before you skin it, around the buttock, about that far all the way around. You reach in there and you pull the anal gut out and get about 3 or 4 inches of that. The gland actually is inside on that, right around, and that's where they use the scent. Then when you cut him open, where his bladder is at, it's always right in the lower part of the stomach on the coyote or the fox. Sometimes you can catch it when it's got lots of urine in it. So you got your quart jar, you drop that animal. If you get the bladder that's got any urine in it, drop the whole thing in. On the bottom of most animals, they got what's called pads. Cut that out on past the hairline, all that pad off every piece. And if you're going to skin him, there's glands, like an all animal, there's glands under here, and there's some glands in the back hams on the inside where there's a little crease in there. You fold it back, there's a little fat tissue, there's a little gland on both sides of that. It don't hurt to get all of them. But if you ain't gonna skin animal, you don't want to go that trouble skinning just for the glands. But you put those in a jar. I prefer to put a little glycerin in there, and you can keep adding to it if you catch it some the next day or two. You get you a jar pretty full. I always take a post hole and dig mine down in the ground about this deep. Don't screw the lid on tight.
You put all that stuff in one jar?
Yep, everything goes together. The trick is put you about, to a quart jar, put about 3 or 4 ounces of glycerin. Don't screw the lid on real tight. Bag the ground, put you something over it, the dirt won't get in, put some tinfoil. You can dig it up and add to it if you want to, or if you go in the wintertime, you can add several days or weeks catching that 1 yard in bag. It's got to rot down. Get it rot down, it may take 3 or 4 months. And you just make a paste kind of. That's perfect. Coyote, bogs, canines is what I made it out of. And cat forks too. That's the way they make the cat glands. But and Hallbaker made one of the best cat glands that ever was when I was trapping back in the late 60s and 70s. Field traps. We used a lot of it. They caught a lot of cats. Now coyotes is what everybody wants to know about. Coyotes are just like dogs. They're canines. Tainted meat's good. Some fresh fish meat, squirrel, rabbit, house cats, dog cat meat, all that's good. It even gets better if you taint it. Now tainted, you don't want it to get rotten. Same way, cut you off some of that meat, put it in the jar, seal it up, age just a couple of days. He said, well, you put some of your benzene in stock. It will. But it'll give it a chemical smell, and it smell like you poured bleach in it. I never did like it. Never did try it, and it just didn't work. But it's good, the tank bait. But then the fresh bait's good on coyotes too. One of the best lure baits I've ever come up with. I'm gonna give you the recipe now, and y'all write it down if you want it.
Hey, I'm running for a field. Where's my field?
It ain't hard to make.
Why don't I just give you the stuff and you make it for me, right?
You might well not can read it.
Oh my God, look at these nice cat people.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
Send it to me.
Send it to me.
Get it?
Hey, honey,
Hey.
click on that for Mark there, so he won't have to write it
I'll
all
get it.
down.
if you take a 30-pound of hamburger meat, the fatty old cheap hamburger meat, third of a pound of beef liver. And if you can't get beef fat, which is trimmage, in most places you can, they'll save it for you. Third of a pound of that. But if you can't get it, you can use Crisco, the one that hardens But it's better if you get that. Then you add about a quarter of a teaspoon of seasoning salt to that. Put it in the frying pan, cut your liver up in little pieces in your bath, put it in the frying pan, cast iron for, it don't matter. And a quarter of a teaspoon of garlic powder. You fry that out till it's real brown. You fry all the water out. All the grease will come out of it. And you fry every bit out till it's real brown. I mean, not burnt, but dark brown. Just stir it out. And then you cool it down a little bit and put it in a blender and just blend it till it's just a paste. You have to solidify back when you put it in the jar and set it in the cool blender and make a paste. That is, you try that on your dog. Just a little bit on something, wave in front of that dog. He'll eat your hand off trying to get to it. I've had them to eat. On the beach, I made some up, smeared a little rosemary bush about this high. Beach rosemary, you know what I'm saying. I've been in traps here. Just take them off a little on them bushes. Come back and the bush was gone. They just eat the top out of it. So I got, years ago I was testing this. Here's where I got the idea. You know, when you pan fry a steak, you just put a little garlic seeds on it, and you fry it out and brown it, on each side and sear it, and then when you get through, you got all that brown. It's good, ain't it? You take some of that to a dog or a canine or something. I've had them in the pens, coyotes and all. And you stick it up there, he won't mess with it because he'll back up the corner. I've had coyotes in pen catch some year and then fox. I just put some down on a stick and walk off and hide and reckon he'll dive on that. He just really won't. That's the secret when we caught so many on them beaches with that stuff.
So you take all those ingredients, pan fry it.
Get all the water out of there, because that keeps it, and then it makes it give it that flavor. And you want to go ahead and do the garlic and the seasoning salt because it just smells. You won't eat. That's all you want to do. When you'll get so hungry, you want to go home and have a steak when you get through. You can't stand it.
Take cheese crackers with you.
So you take all that, pan fry it, get all the juices out of it, and then take all that
brown
stuff.
real good.
Yep.
Grease and all.
And then
put it in the blender. When it cools down to left, you can put it in the blender and make it into a paste, and then just guard it. And it'll last. It'll last a year or two, but then finally, the Crisco won't. But if the grease and the tallow will finally rank over 2 or 3 years, because I had 2 or 3 years, it will rank. And I've got some here that
You don't use the juices at all that you cook out of
ain't
it?
nothing in it.
You finish
Right
the
out
juices.
right.
No. Oh, I see what you're saying. Never mind, I got there.
When you do that, the juices, the flavors in the juices is concentrated in, the water's leaving out. That's all,
Yeah.
all the flavors are still in there.
Okay.
You want that because when you blend it, then that grease is in there, makes a paste when it solidifies back.
Yeah.
The beef fat and all in the Crisco will solidify back.
I just went a different route. I got it.
Okay, well, I want you to understand how, what the feature is for that.
Because I'm gonna whoop John Whitfield's tail this year.
We'll see.
So that is sun-rendered mullet oil. Stinks like crap. Don't smell good at all. But
Unrendered
canines
mullet
attract you.
oil.
But now here's some catfish oil that they ain't attracted to. But coon dog, that smells pretty dang good. Catfish oil, but mullet oil, I don't know why.
It's got different oil, it's got more oil.
But that's sun-rendered, it's not.
Yeah.
So it's the grease, not the whole fish now.
Yeah,
It's the
just-
fat out of good fat mullet.
Yeah.
This is fat out of catfish and sun-rendered. Now I've got some.
So what's mullet oil good for? Kelly?
Rub it a little under
Smell
your
it.
arms.
It stinks. It's rotten
Coyotes.
smell, yeah. Canines.
Canines.
This is sun-rendered alligator. Now, when you sun-render it out, you keep it for a few years, it's still golden. This was done in the 80s. We took we done it in 55-gallon drums. We saved all our gator fat when them David was doing it. We put it in 55-gallon drums, plastic drums. And it was just set out in the sun. And it aged, and the oil separated from the old rotten stuff. We bleed that off. We sold a lot of it to lure makers. What was good about it, it's got odor of its own. But it's so, if you get this on the
It gives
finger,
it color of its
you
own,
can
too.
wash your hand for a week. It's like getting skunk oil on it. So it works as a good fixity when you add other stuff to it. So, and it's got a, it's not got a bad odor now. It's just got a unique oil, It's,
Isn't that why, they were buying that? Because,
they was mixing, using it for fixity.
and where they had used so many of these other baits and oils, they got used to them, and that was just a new scent.
Yep.
Curiosity scent.
Well, yeah, lures, that's what it is. You catch more animals with a curiosity factor than you do anything else. We was on the beach trapping, and we would catch coves. We would cut every one of them. They call it autopsy or what?
Yeah.
Necropsy.
Yeah, okay.
Autopsy.
Autopsy, yeah, I know they call it.
There's a necropsy on animals.
Necropsy.
We would cut them all up and we'd see what they had. Well, we got to find some close to the picnic areas and cheeseburgers. Pieces you could take, clubs. So we just save a little piece of cheeseburger. We keep cows on it.
Barbecue chicken, because everybody was at the
But
barbecue.
it's just whatever they eat. But anything different to a cow, he can smell it. And you don't want to put much lure. When you're talking about lures, you don't want to put much because they can smell 20 or 30 times stronger than we can. So if you put a guard that you can smell, he turns him off. You want enough to make him curious. Did he get up his curiosity? Just a little bit. Now, skunk oil, skunk essence, whatever you want to call it, has been used in lures since the beginning when anybody figured out how to use a lure, I guess. And it is one of the most powerful smells there is in the animal kingdom. And lots of skunks, cows eat it. And so, but it's pretty expensive to buy the real stuff. But you can come up with some that's close and it's cheap, and it's pretty good by itself, called Gusto.
Yeah.
It's mostly all skunk. Smell that. It's real skunk.
We'll get a whiff in just a minute.
Well, you use it.
I smell that other stuff you opened up.
But
second.
just take a
Smell it
little
now.
of that.
Yeah.
And you want to make a lure with
Well, that goes.
that
Smell
skunk
that
essence,
right
because
there.
you had to go
That's a
buy-
long distance call lure.
Yeah, Gusto is a pretty good lure, but you can overpower with it by using two. I like a pine straw and just dip it in. That's about as much as I want. But you can add this. I've added this to the gator oil. I've added to other things coming up. I like something that's easy to put out. I make something and put it in these bottles. Well, that's bacon grease, lard, and liquid smoke. It's different. Well, they ain't never, and you can just do that, open it up, and squirt a little on behind, just a few drops, all it takes. It brings it, he's curious. He ain't smelt that before. That he lives in a park where they're barbecuing all the time. You out on a ranch, he smells, picks that up. They're curious. So, in the lure,
It's good.
now this is the code here. I was telling this morning, the guy, somebody talking about it. That's
Oh, you are?
Now, just like ammonia. You could open a bottle of ammonia, you can't tell the difference. It do not last, so don't get tricked into buying that. There's a better product on the market called Bobcat Pea and Red Fox.
You know-
Bobcat Pea is
Do you believe this, Ron? Somebody told me when your urine smells like ammonia, or when it's going bad, or whatever you want to call it. Somebody told me just take the lid off of it and sit it out there for a little while,
Well,
or either pour it out
pretty
there where
quick.
you want it, and the ammonia smell will go away.
Yeah, but also the cow smell that attracts the cow's gone too.
Okay.
It's broken down.
Your urine, cow urine, all that turns into ammonia, that's what the volume, that's where you get the potassium nitrate when you make about powder out of the urine, ammonia. Bobcat, it kind of keeps us in red fox. I'd rather have bobcat or red fox urine if I'm gonna use urine at a cow set than cow. And when you try to buy this stuff, you got to check out people, check out reputable companies that sells it, because they some do, and you can check them out. So if you don't buy it, but if you catch a few, save all of that stuff. Every time you skin a fox, you can't many of them, but cows, if you're going to skin him, or you don't have to skin him, hang him up and cut right down the bottom. Be careful, just cut through the lining, and there's that bladder, and you want that bladder to drop it in there too, but you want that urine, that's fresh urine, that's pretty good. But,
So how do you drain bladder? You just have a bowl or something?
no, I don't drain it when I use it.
Drop it off.
If you don't drain it, put it in a jar. Look,
Yeah.
when you
So you cut it
hang
out.
the animal
Yeah.
up by the feet, front
Right.
feet, you don't get that. You cut the line in, there it hangs, right there, right there.
Right.
You just separate it from there, and then catch it up there and pinch it off where it's little, cut it, turn it over, and just stick the neck in the jar, and just
Right,
straight in
okay,
there.
yeah.
But if you're gonna
Right.
use it for making the gland lure, drop the whole thing in there. Lure, the urine, what keeps the gland lure from going real bad. There's enough stuff in that, it'll actually preserve it, and that's the smell you want. But if I I use bait, anything, baits is anything. Fried chicken, whatever. Catch cows, you catch cows with anything.
Yeah.
Because we cut them open, found all kind of stuff in them. Uniquest thing, we found the chains first. Zipper no. He chewed on it all piece, but he swallowed the whole thing. You find anything. I've seen them eat dry peanuts. Dry peanuts. They eat a lot of insects. They eat a lot of grass. Eat anything. Watermelon. They don't care. So that's the reason. But when you're doing anything that draws his curiosity, just a little hint of something to make him come over, and that's all you want him to do. Now the bait to keep him right there. We used to make 3 holes. Put a little cube of ham in this one, a little squirt of barbecue sauce in this one, and some of this other lure in this other one over here. And we noticed them, because they come up there and maybe that day he didn't like one of them. But there's 2 more there, he might. And the longer he stays there, directly he don't make many steps, but you finish that trap right, directly it's right in there. But you got to get him up there to start with. And anything that's curious to him, that he hadn't smelled before, that smells pretty good. Not no perfume, women's perfume or anything, of course, but it'll draw him in. But I'm not a big proponent of all these, because you can open a trapping magazine or go to one of these big conventions, and they just fall to wall. Every name in the book you want to get. But there is a few replicas. One that's been in a long time. Most of them don't stay long if they ain't replicas, because there's not a lot of money in them anymore. It's just the old companies that people trust, and they buy all Baker's Crawls, Martin. I'm talking about lure ingredients. Oh, that PCS Outdoor is in the trapper. They got a whole line of all kinds of ingredients. Tonquin buzz used to be real good. So it comes from an animal in Africa, antelope type animal. It's a back muscle. They put out a lot of it, and the dingoes and stuff would just go crazy. So they got using it in the trapping industry years and years ago. But then few people that got it made too expensive, so they kind of synthesized it, and it's still pretty good. And you can put a little of that in some of your lures. It's something that they're not going to smell down here, see, in this part. Just like my beaver lure. I use nothing but castors and glycerin, then I add poplar bud on it. It don't grow down here. Poplar grows it here, but nobody. They don't add much of it where I live, just a little bit. But I found out if I change mine up, make a little ball of it with poplar bud on it. Then I'll grind some up and put me on just a tad of cherry oil. Another over here with some cedar. You buy cedar oil. Just a tad. Not enough that you can tell it, but that beaver can't. Then when I'm trapping the places, what I call a big place, like 40-acre pond or backed up compound, and I know they 4 or 5 families of beavers, I'll switch them around every 2 or 3 days when I bait them. I don't bait my sets every day with lure. I make them and I'll let them go 2 or 3 days. Now it just washes away, and then I'll dab a little bit more. But if it slows down, I'll add a different smell there, and then it'll pick back up a little. So it's just trial and error, but it works. You just got to keep his curiosity is all that going for you, So